Hello everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. We're delighted to have you with us today. In this episode, we're diving into a topic that still makes fans' hearts race years later. Chang Wook and Hyun. An unforgettable on-screen couple whose chemistry left a lasting impression, through subtle glances, emotional scenes, and moments that made viewers fall in love all over again. Why do their scenes still spark excitement? What made the pairing so special? Stay with us as we revisit the moments that made fans' hearts flutter. Let's jump right in. It always starts the same way, too quiet, too ordinary. Like nothing is about to happen. A hallway lit in soft amber. Trim that smells like cold paper and restrained anger. A late-night office where the air feels heavy with words no one dares to say out loud. And then, one glance. Not the kind you notice at first. Not the kind that comes with background music and slow motion. It's quick. Sharp. Almost accidental. But the second it lands, everything in the scene changes temperature. That's what made Chang Wook and Hyun so dangerous on screen. Not cute. Not sweet, dangerous. Because their chemistry didn't feel like a scripted romance. It felt like a fuse being lit. Fans remember the early moments because they didn't announce themselves. They crept in. A small pause before a reply. A breath held too long. A hand that stopped an inch away from touching. Then pulled back like contact would burn. The characters could be arguing, voices tight. Pride bruised, but their eyes would betray them. The audience saw it before the characters did. And that's where the tension became addictive. Watching two people insist they don't care while their bodies scream the opposite. One of the most heart-stopping patterns was the almost. Almost a confession. Almost a kiss. Almost a step too close. The camera would hang on the space between them like it was its own character. The silence would stretch until viewers felt it in their teeth. And then, something would interrupt. A phone ringing. A door opening. A co-worker barging in. The moment would snap like a rubber band and both characters back into their armor. Fans would scream. Then laugh. Then curse. A replay like rewatching could change the outcome. But the real shock wasn't the flirting. It was the way the tension turned into emotional ambushes. There's a particular kind of scene that made audiences sit up straighter. When the situation wasn't romantic at all, when it was fear. A threat, a danger. An accusation that could ruin everything. In those moments, Chang Wook's character would stop joking. His posture would change. His voice would drop. And Hyun's character, so resilient, so sharp, would suddenly look like she was carrying the weight of every decision she'd ever made. That's when the flutter turned into something deeper, more intense. Because romance is easy when everyone is safe. It becomes unforgettable when it happens on the edge of collapse. Fans still talk about the scenes where protection showed up without permission. A jacket placed over shoulders without a word. A step forward that says, "If you want to hurt her, you go through me." Catching a wrist, not possessive. Not controlling, but urgent. Like a lifeline thrown at the last second. These moments weren't loud. They didn't need to be. They hit harder precisely because they were quiet and instinctive. The kind of instinct that feels earned. Came the emotional reversals, the moments that felt like betrayal until you understood the reason behind it. The show loved to toy with distance. One episode would give viewers warmth, a shared smile. Late-night conversation. A fragile trust forming like frost on glass. Then, without warning, the next episode would pull the rug. A misunderstanding. A secret. A decision made for your own good. Fans would feel the whiplash in real time. That's when the ship truly locked in. Because the story wasn't just will they kiss, it was will they survive each other. Chang Wook's charm has always carried that edge, playful one second, devastating the next. But paired with Hyun's grounded intensity, dynamic became unpredictable. She wasn't simply swept away. She pushed back. She questioned. She fought. Which made every soft moment feel like stolen treasure. When she finally smiled without suspicion, felt like the universe had offered a rare truce. When he finally looked at her like he wasn't hiding behind jokes, fans could practically hear hearts hitting the floor. And then there were the scenes that felt like they shouldn't be allowed on television because they were too intimate without being physical at all. Two people in a cramped space. A door closing. The world outside reduced to muffled sound. A conversation that starts as practical evidence, deadlines, danger, and slowly becomes something else. The voice softens. The eye contact deepens. Words become thinner. As if both are afraid that one wrong sentence will shatter the fragile thread between them. Fans know that moment. The moment where you stop breathing. Because you can't tell if they were about to kiss or fall apart. That's the genius of an on-screen couple that truly works. They don't just make you want them together. They make you fear what together might cost. And just when viewers thought the tension had reached its peak, the show delivered the scenes that felt like emotional explosions, confessions that arrived too late, apologies spoken with eyes instead of words, and a vulnerability that makes a character look suddenly younger, suddenly human. The flutter wasn't just romance. It was a constant question: how long can two people keep denying what's already written all over them? If part 1 was the slow burn, the simmering heat, almost, part 2 was where everything ignited. Because there's a point in every unforgettable pairing. The tension stops being a tease and becomes a threat. A threat to their carefully built walls. A threat to their pride. Threat to the story's fragile balance. That's where Chang Wook and Hyun's most shocking, heart-fluttering moments hit like lightning. It wasn't the obvious scenes that did the damage. It was the ones that arrived in the middle of chaos. Case turning ugly. A truth surfacing at the worst possible time. A character cornered by the past. Would thicken with danger, real danger, and then, middle of it, the relationship would sharpen into focus. Like the world was burning down. And the only thing that mattered was whether the other person was still standing. Those are the moments fans don't just like, they clutch. A sudden grab to pull someone out of harm's way. A protective body blocking a blow. Voice snapping with panic. Calling a name a little too desperately. And then the aftermath, when the adrenaline drops and the realization hits, I could have lost you. That's where the flutter becomes crushing. Because the characters can't pretend anymore. Fear is honest. Fear doesn't care about pride. Come the scenes after danger, quiet scenes that feel almost louder than the action. A hospital corridor. A dim room. Late night when exhaustion strips away sarcasm and defense. One character tries to act normal, tries to joke, tries to keep the mood light, but their hands betray them. Trembling slightly. Hovering near the other person as if they need to confirm they're real. The other character notices. Says nothing. Just looks. Just breathes. Just lets the silence speak. Fans feel those scenes in their stomach. Because they are intimate in a way that romance tropes can't replicate. It's not about attraction. It's about impact. How a person rewires your instincts until protecting them becomes automatic. And then, the most brutal twist, vulnerability as a weapon. There are moments where a character finally opens up, admits fear, admits guilt, admits they're tired of fighting alone, and the other person flinches. Not because they don't care, but because caring is dangerous. Caring makes you weak in a world that punishes weakness. In those moments, Hyun's character could look like she wanted to run and stay at the same time. Her eyes glassy but determined. Chang Wook's character could look like he'd swallowed every apology he ever owed anyone. Standing there with the kind of silence that screams. Fans lose it. Because that's the kind of heartbreak that feels real. Kind that makes you want to yell at the screen. Just tell her, just hold him, stop wasting time. But the story doesn't give you what you want easily. It makes you earn it. So when the softer breakthroughs finally happen, they land like shocks. A confession that slips out in a moment of exhaustion. A sentence that wasn't supposed to be said. A look that says, I'm not leaving. And leaving would be safer. Sometimes it's as small as two people sharing food in silence. Shoulders almost touching. Sometimes it's as big as someone choosing trust over evidence, love over logic, the heart over the plan. And the classic heart flutter moment, the one fans replay until they've memorized every micro expression, is when the physical closeness arrives not as seduction, but as surrender. A near kiss that isn't smooth. It's hesitant. It's trembling. It's two people stepping forward like they're afraid they'll fall off a cliff. The pause right before their lips meet feels like the world holding its breath. And when it finally happens, if it happens, it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like relief. A storm finally breaking. But even after the most romantic moments, the pairing stays compelling because it never becomes easy. Their chemistry isn't built on perfection. It's built on friction, on the way they challenge each other, expose each other, force each other to grow. They don't just make fans flutter because they look good together. They make fans flutter because their scenes carry stakes. Watch them and you feel the tension of what's unsaid, the danger of what's hidden, the hope of what could finally be admitted. That's why the pairing lingers. Long after the episode ends, the moments keep replaying in the mind, a glance held a second too long, a hand lingering after a rescue, a voice cracking on a name. It's the sense that something real was happening in those fictional spaces, something raw enough to make the audience forget they were watching actors at all. Fans say Chang, Wook and Hyun made their hearts flutter. They don't mean just one scene. The entire ride, the suspense, the emotional whiplash, the shock of vulnerability, and the quiet promise hidden inside every dangerous pause. That eventually, somehow, most would finally become yes. In the end, what made Chang, Wook and Hyun such an unforgettable on-screen couple was never just romance. It was the tension that lived in every pause, emotion hidden behind every glance, and the risk woven into every step they took toward each other. Moments didn't simply make fans smile, they made hearts race, breath catch, and emotions spiral. Through danger, distance, misunderstanding, and vulnerability. Connection felt earned, fragile, and intensely real. That is why their scenes continue to linger long after the screen fades to black. They didn't just tell a love story. They made audiences feel it. Thank you for staying with us all the way to the end of this journey. We truly appreciate your time, your passion, and your love for stories that go beyond the surface. At Behind the Bulletin, we're grateful to share these unforgettable moments with viewers who feel every glance, every silence, and every heartbeat just as deeply. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next story.